President Jammeh's home village of Kanilai on Tuesday. Futampaf was the main highlight of the cultural showpiece, which attracted scores of participants from the African diaspora. Initiates were led through the initiation rites by His Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh. Abdul Njai gives us details of the mega cultural convergence.
It was a turning point for celebrations of the country's rich and diverse cultures under the 10th edition of the International Roots Festival. Salvo after salvo of cannon fire ushered the president into the village, ahead of the initiation locally called Futampaf. A similarly spectacular scene unfolded a short while later, as the convoy of the would-be initiates drove into Kanilai for a totally different experience. The event's earlier showcase were all pieced together the following morning into one of memorable start at the village square. The president, accompanied by the First Lady, Her Excellency Ajah Zainab Yahya Jammeh, was in a totally cultural and traditional outfit, unique in itself and befitting the practice he was to officiate. The rituals were keenly watched by government dignitaries and a host of other diplomats. The initiates, accompanied by their adopted families, were lined up for the start of a rather exhaustive day of learning, whose rituals included a close scrutiny of their state of health, told by the way a cock slaughtered in their name died or the sign of its testes. It was too much an excitement for most to contain, but this event set in motion what was essentially the climax of the Root Festival. One stage after another, and the second most important was the hallmark of the manhood training, and the trail separating them from their families and the uninitiated led to a sacred trade. Outfit, your attire, the way you came out, I have never seen this before, Your Excellency. What does it mean?
It's great to be an African. I'm grateful to the Almighty Allah for making me a black man. I feel great.
Your Excellency, these were people that we lost to the New World. They have came back to regain that culture, and you are leading that process.
To show them that the African culture, as portrayed by the white man, is different from true African culture. African culture has nothing to do with human sacrifice. African culture has nothing to do with cannibalism. African culture has nothing to do with witchcraft.
Your Excellency, that's the terminology that we don't have to be Africans in geocentric terms only. We don't have to be Africans by being forced, being tribes first, or being by nationalists first. We have to be Africans because we have to believe in that Pan-Africanist dream. And Your Excellency, you are leading that route.
Now, what? It's not a question of being geocentric. An African has to be an African in the first place, because Africa also is constituted by tribes. First, you are an African. Then you belong to a tribe. Then you belong to a kingdom or a nation. That is what Africa is all about. Every different part of Africa has different cultural values and norms. And these are defined by the tradition, by the culture, and this culture is defined by the society and the tribe.
This activity, prized as Africa's oldest form of education, is a school of riddles and science, and its graduates are expected to be refined and remolded into fine men and women of a productive society. The participants from the diaspora who have returned home to reclaim their ancestral roots were graciously reconnected by virtue of the ideals and cultural norms and values opening up before them. The doctrine that carried their ancestors into slavery were finally being settled behind the dust, where they secluded for most part of the afternoon to be reoriented, and they emerged later at the festival ground as fully grown men and women, with one more step to complete the transformation. It was a rather tactical dance called the Kinko dance, done under the president's supervision. The oldest institution of learning has offered them the chance to break free of the circles of misfortune and misery of lost identity. And with a mild practical experience, they achieved the benchmark for a presidential reward, with most of them, including the vocals in the reggae industry, described as emotional and memorable.
To me, singing for the people is not a complete journey until you have made this initiation step. To me, to be initiated is a vital step for an African, especially those people of the African diaspora who long for Africa, long to be connected to the roots. To be here, it's a special moment, special day, I'm just happy to be. My spirit is initiated.
I feel it's my destiny, you know, to reclaim that root. You know, from I was a child growing up, I always had that affection for Africa, and to find that I've reached here, it's like a dream come true, you know.
It's a fantastic feeling. I didn't really expect this. Being surrounded by so many women, matriarchs, strong women, and they're guiding me, making sure that it's the simplest thing, but it's the hardest thing for me that I don't fail, and I loved every minute of it.
The week-long event had got off to a promising start and has reached its peak, and the pilgrimage is slowly winding up.
We just a touch pan sweet, Mama Africa. When me come sail from the sweet river Gambia, me come forth with God in my heart to tear Babylon apart.
Abdinjai, GRTS.